And we're away. What's going on, people? Let's get stuck into it. Hope there's a few of you are watching on the replay. I'll just sort out posting this link somewhere, and then we'll get stuck into it. Chuck this over here. She's a tough week, the old SuperCoach. Well, a tough game in general. Once again, we've got a fair bit on our plates to deal with. Seems to be irregular, but we'll hopefully work through a few things. Dunkley, Dusty, Neil, Boke as well has been thrown into the mix. So there's a bit going on, but look, we'll get straight into it. Again, thanks to everyone. If you're tuning in on the already uploaded live stream, thank you very much. And thanks again to everyone who's sort of been getting around the channel. We've already had, another good week, and well, not in SuperCoach, but a good week of views, good week of videos. So let's jump into it, eh? Nicky, Shorty, let's go here, mate. Come on, what's happening, Nick? How are you? Jono, what's cracking, mate? Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, mate. Appreciate the support. Alex, what's happening, mate? Thanks for jumping on board. Jackson, mate, I've now used 12 injury trades, and this week I've got Martin, Dunkley, and Boke. Golly, man, you won't be alone, mate. This has been an utter disaster. I was saying in my preview video, I've been doing SuperCoach for about 14, 15 years, and this is just one of the absolute worst. Well, it is the worst. It is the worst one that I've been a part of. And, we're kicking off the live session a little bit earlier. I know I sort of said 9 o'clock. I thought I'd probably be busy-ish tonight, but I wasn't. And I just thought I'd get it started a touch earlier, sort of go through it around 10 o'clock or something like that. So, this season's certainly produced its fair share of challenges. There's no doubt about that. Liam, who to field, Rowe or Scott? That is tough. Far out, yeah. Can you do an emergency loophole? Is that possible? Can you get a look at what Scott does and then maybe loophole with a donut that you've got? I'm guessing most of us have donuts. Can you do that? Unless you might not. But to answer your question, I'd probably go Rowe. Only just. I just think it's going to be a pretty hot and heated game against the Tigers, big stage. It's not always ones that a type of player like him can, the pace is going to be up. I just feel like both of them are equally capable of scoring a 20-odd, but Rowe and he have probably had their fair share of 60s and 70s. So you're not exactly going to be enjoying an amazing score, I wouldn't have thought, mate, but I'd probably go Rowe slightly. Lukey, how you going, mate? Thanks for jumping on board. Jono, do you think Sammy Walsh is a must-have? You could definitely mount the case. I mean, I don't think he's like, you got to have him, but, I mean, he's now a premium. He's elevated himself to premium status, which is pretty fantastic. It hasn't taken him long, has it? But there are a lot of great midfielders out there. It's not as if we need to just set off and charge out to get Sam Walsh. But if you can get him, I think he's going to be a premium for us. Slangers, how are you, mate? Walsh and Deb Robinson or Brayshaw and Zorko? Intending to get either Zork or Brayshaw next week with an up and a down trade. Yeah, no, good point, mate. And I think, like we sort of spoke throughout the week, Brayshaw definitely a tasty little option, but Deb Robinson is also, he had that 30, but then he bounced back with a nice 97, and all of a sudden he's going to get quite a bit of midfield time, one would imagine. So, having said that, I would probably if you can get Brayshaw and Zorko, I probably would do that. You're probably going to keep those guys for the whole year. where Robinson is obviously going to be someone we trade out again. Hopefully he makes you a bit of cash, but I reckon Brayshaw can sit nicely at M8, and Zorko, like I just said with Robbo, is going to get some more midfield minutes. So I think both can be keepers in their respective lines. So, Lukey, you have to hold Boak, right? Yeah, I would be. From what I've heard, it's just a minor quad injury. And same can be said for Dustin Martin. Let's not go trading out our premiums because a lot of them have let us down. So let's not trade out the ones that are doing us well. But, yeah, hold him, mate. Daniel, hey, Shorty. Hey, mate. How you going? Ash B says, hold Chapman. Yeah, I didn't see the game, so I'm not exactly sure why he didn't score as well. Maybe just a bit of an off game, being a youngster. Maybe there was more to it. But, yeah, let's hope for a bit of a response, a 70 or an 80, and definitely still got some coin to make. So I'd be holding there. John, thanks for jumping on board, mate. Hey, Shorty, how's it going? My season just went from bad to worse. Last week, traded back near. Oh, God. Thinking I pulled the trade of the year off. Now he's out for 2 months. Well, I'm going all right, mate. How are you? Hopefully you're travelling nicely, mate. Yeah, you won't be alone there. I mean, I had a lot of questions last week sort of saying Sam Walsh or Lockie Neal. And it has just been a shocker, hasn't it? It's turned out to be about as bad a result as we can possibly have. You bring a guy in, you think he's a primo. There'll be some people that started with him, trade him out, brought him back, and got to get him again. That's Tom Rockcliffe sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear, mate. That's a real bugger. Nicky, Shorty, do we think Lacoste is among? Yeah, I did see that little account about, what was it, Shorty's fish or something? Something. It did make me laugh. And that little clip that somebody put up, I got no idea what I was even talking about. I feel like the mic maybe distorted what I said a little bit, but whatever it was, it gave me a bit of a laugh. Jono at Langers, what do you think about Dev Robbo? A bit of chat between a couple of lads there. G Saucy, g'day Shorty. Not sure about this. Trading out Dunkley and Goulden for either Brayshaw and Atkins or Walsh and a rookie. Yeah, I'd be going Walsh and a rookie. I think Atkins is going all right, but I don't see him as a keeper. And Brayshaw, I think, while he is a really good option and really nicely priced, I think he might be better to go Walsh and a rookie, just because you can keep Walsh all year and you could keep Brayshaw all year. But Atkins versus a rookie, you're going to make more money from a rookie, and I feel like you're probably going to trade them both out inevitably. So you may as well just make a bit more coin while you can. Nicky again, also, why did you call me a Mong? Oh, so was you. Mate, like I said before, I got no idea what a Mong is. And I think that might have just been either my speech letting me down or the microphone. But I did enjoy your video, mate. Langers with the pod shout out. Yes, AFL Unlimited is a podcast I do with a few mates, although I have not featured due to work commitments of late. If you're interested, I put out my contribution to the podcast this week. That was posted tonight on my channel. But, AFL Unlimited, you can get that on, it's on Insta. You can look us up on Facebook, Spotify, etc. So if you like a bit of footy chat, there's some good opinions, a few tips, just sort of discussing from a different point of view, just a few mates talking a bit of footy. Jackson, where are the Blues going to finish this year in your opinion? Yeah, I think at some stage the Blues will find some solid form, but I probably see them in that sort of probably 10 to 12 bracket. I just don't know if – I don't think they're – I mean, where do they actually sit right now? It's been a tough start, hasn't it? Not exactly what Blues fans were after. So right now they're 13th, and I probably wouldn't have thought they'd get too much better than that. I do feel like there'll be a time when I think the Blues have a decent enough list. They are missing some key pillars at times, but yeah, it's just some of their recent draft selections just haven't gone the way they would have liked. So I'd probably just see them 10 to 12, which is disappointing because a lot of people would have been if you're a Blues fan, hoping that they probably made the 8. Nicky Rowe will get dropped. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I guess he's half a chance to. Tough to say. The Crows probably like what he's doing, but, after a game like that, it's half a chance, isn't it? D-Mac, trade Josh Kelly to Brayshaw or upgrade Goulden to Brayshaw? I'd be more inclined to upgrade Goulden to Brayshaw. I know Josh Kelly is terribly out of sorts, but all it takes is for whatever reason, Leon Cameron going, okay, we've had a tough couple of weeks. Let's put Josh back in the middle or more around the ball. I'm hoping that it's just a bit of a phase or something they're trying. I'm hoping that the fact they lost last week, maybe they switch it up ever so slightly. But, yeah, even if he doesn't come good, you still give him a bit more of a chance. Where Goulden, we got to get rid of him at some point, and the time's now. He already dropped price a little bit. So you might end up trading both of them out eventually, but right now I'd be going Goulden to Brayshaw. Lang is back. He's just getting involved with Jono. Shano, what's happening? Could we hold Neil and just deal with him next week just to fix Dunkley via a trade to Zorko or Sidey with a second trade upgrading Goulden this week? I feel Goulden has done his job. Absolutely, mate. There'll be a lot of people holding a number of zeros. No doubt about that. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, sometimes you just got to deal with what's most pressing. If I look at my side now, I had pressing issues last week, so I've still got Degoe. So right now, I, in an ideal world, want to get rid of Degoe. I need to get rid of Dunkley. And I feel like and Goulden is the other one I sort of wanted to get rid of. And Jordan Clark, throw him in the mix as well. Jesus, there's a bit going on. But that's one thing I probably wish. If I sat down with the SuperCoach creators and they said, Shorty, what would you like to see happen in the game? I wish as coaches we had a little bit more control. Because at the end of the day, it's SuperCoach. We are a coach of our side. I wish we had maybe a couple more levers to pull. I'd love to see a bit more creativity. I'd love the option to maybe be you have 5 bonus trades each year, and they're not extra trades. You don't go from 30 to 35, but an opportunity to pull the trigger and make 3 trades instead of 2 for the week. Because I feel like that's just the more tactics, the better as far as I'm concerned. You could have a week where you go, Farah, I want to do everything here. I'm going to use 2 of my 5 bonus trades, make 4 trades this week, and really get my team going. I don't really like that we're so restricted. And if you burn too many trades too early, bad luck. I think it's a good tactical thing, and I'm sure there's a few more bits and pieces that could happen. But, yeah, it's just a thing Shorty thinks about when he's driving around sometimes. Nicky, he's smashing the questions. Thanks, mate. Also, Shorty, what do we think about getting in Fredericks? Was it a one-game wonder? Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him because he's a guy that I'll definitely will talk about, and I will do now. Gee, I reckon I could have racked up 20 touches in that game too. It was a bruise-free one for Port Adelaide players, and almost a perfect game for that type of fella to debut. So he found a lot of nice, easy ball, but any sort of a score like that, 23 touches suggests you can find the footy. So just a watch for me, see what he does next week. Hopefully it's a 60, 70, maybe another 80. And then he'll definitely be on our radars. But just see what he does. And tell you what, while you're at it, jump onto YouTube. Keep my tab open, keep it open, but jump onto YouTube and type in, Fredericks and probably just AFL highlights maybe. And the first one, it's like a 1.5-minute video. Watch his first bit of play. Then his second bit of play is one of the best goals you'll ever see. Gets about half back, just in the sample or whatever. Gets 3 handball receives and then just slots a lovely goal from 40. It's he's a running machine. Corey, sorry, mate, for those comments last week about your team. No, mate, we're fair game here. We are fair game. I'll tell you what, I can't blame you. But good to have you back, mate. You've been a regular, so I like that. Nick reckons you need Walsh. We're building up over 60, so thanks for everyone joining in. Hopefully this time slot's a little bit better. I know last week was a bit earlier on your Thursday. I think Thursday's a good day, but maybe, I think my housemate just got back from footy training as well, so there's probably a few of you in that boat where footy training's on. So hopefully this time slot's working a bit better for you. So if you're enjoying it, give us a thumbs up and feel free to give us a subscribe. Trying to get to 3,000 by the end of the season is the goal. I'd love to do that. So yeah, if you're liking the chat, I'd appreciate it if you did. But Blesty, trade in Tex or Impey in the forward line. Thanks. I'd be going Impey if I was choosing between the two. I think Tex is going to be a little bit more up and down just by the nature of his role. He's in amazing form at the moment, but sometimes it's not always about what they're scoring, but what role they're playing and how sustainable it is. So start of the year, I definitely didn't think we'd be talking about Taylor Walker and Jarman Impey as premium options, but here we are. We're doing it. So, yeah, I'd be more so leaning towards that. Jono, yeah, well, I'm thinking, just chatting to Langers there. Frag, Shorty, mate. Need you to give some thoughts on this one for me. No worries, mate. Fire away. Dunkley, straight to McRae, possibly. No upgrade. Or go for value. Dunkley to Brayshaw or Walsh, then upgrade next week, possibly. I would probably be more inclined to go the downgrade option and still get a quality player. I definitely prefer Walsh to Brayshaw, but they're both really good options. Reason being, I know McRae's on fire at the moment, but there will be a stage where we can get him slightly cheaper. Probably not much cheaper, but there will be a week where he does have a down one. And for a down one for him, might be 2 weeks where he goes 92 and 106. But it will happen, and then we'll try and pounce. But I think just at the moment, there's such a lack of cash cow options. There's so much trouble. I think at the moment it's nice to have a little bit of coin in your bank just with everything that's going on. So I think you can still get a premium, get a little bit of coin in there. So, there's me pet fish. There he is, Shorty's pet fish, Bruce. Can you say Tizza ya gloid? Well, there you go, mate. There you go. Do with that what you like. I never thought I'd get a pet fish, but there you go. And I guess just generally speaking, and I mentioned it in the preview, I think side bottoms at a great price. We've sort of been let down with our rookies. McRae didn't fire. Rantal, not too good in debut. And Murphy was nothing special. Fredericks is one to watch. Jai Farah is one guy that I will say at 184K. I feel like he hasn't been talked about too much. I know you're paying a little bit extra. Dev Robertson also a very good option, but Jai Farah from the Suns, I wouldn't be surprised if he notches up a few good 80s. Nice role, mature age recruit. But yeah, real pity about Boak. I think you hold, but look, Brayshaw's in a real nice price range. Zorko, side bottom, Mills, had a really big week, break even about 80, high 80s, I think. Rowan Marshall, keep your eyes on him. Try to bring him in soon. And Jaden Short, is coming into a bit of a range. So there's enough to like. So hopefully we can work some of those in the future as Watson rolls into the room. What's going on, mate?
Not much, mate. Just want to confirm to your fans that you got smacked in basketball challenge by me.
Yes, me and Watson had a basketball challenge about half an hour ago, and I got absolutely pantsed. So
didn't hit a shot. So yeah, just so you wouldn't take any advice from him.
Yeah. Get out of here, boy. Yeah, might evict him. I think he's a bit of a menace, that bloke. Might wake up with an eviction notice on his door. Max, what's going on, Max? Should I bring in R2 bloke? Or Farah or Dev Robinson? Well, it's interesting that I just mentioned him and you were on the same wavelength there. But of those three, I'd be looking at Farah. I think Dev's got better scoring ability. So maybe you want to go an extra 40,000. But yeah, I just think I'm probably definitely not R2, but I think either one of the second. And if, I know it's only 40,000, but sometimes that makes a difference. I tell you what, I'd love an extra 40K to throw around at the minute. Sometimes, you look at that and you go, oh, it's only 40,000. But there'll be a time where you go, oh, I wish I had that. So it does matter. I know it's not much, but it does matter. Let me just fire off a message. This is bad, but I'm 95% sure it was my nan's birthday today, which is probably bad that I'm messaging her at 9 o'clock. But we did catch up for lunch the other day for her birthday. But I better flick the old bird a message. Daniel, love watching your videos, Shorty. Oh, thanks, mate. Big fan for many years. Oh, beautiful. Thanks, mate. Now try to take on your wisdom and knowledge. Have had my best year to date, sitting 18th overall. Wow. Got to risk it for the biscuit from now. 18th overall. That is outstanding. No, I appreciate that, mate. It's always good when you hear people been watching for a while. So good stuff. And that's awesome. Keep us updated. Feel free to jump on or comment on a video, because hopefully you can you're in 50K sort of range there, mate. Good stuff. Corey, Walsh and Impey this week for Dunkley and Goulden, or McRae and Impey for Dunkley and Goulden, or Lyons and Impey for Dunkley and Goulden, and get McRae next week. That one, well, it's definitely not Lyons and Impey. And I would probably say, I guess it comes down to Walsh versus McRae. Well, look, I think getting an Impey is a good option, which you have clearly identified. I probably think Walsh, if you can get McRae in next week, I'd probably do that. But it's really splitting hairs. You're on a winner either way there, mate. I'd probably just look at my side and go, do I need that extra coin? Walsh versus McRae. If you really think you do, then go the cheaper one. But if you can bring in McRae and it's not going to throw anything out for your structure or your plan next week, jump at the chance, mate. You know, he's one of the best scorers. So if you can get him in and it's not going to throw the balance out, I would do that. Nicky, anyone else think to get rid of Dusty because of his subpar scores? Watching him play shits me. Oh, gee, that's a tough crowd to please, mate. He's one of the most watchable guys. I know it's no secret that he doesn't always have amazing home and away games week to week. We know that. He's averaged like 103, 100. It's just what he does. But his best is great. And, just how it goes. He does have his big ones. You know, he was obviously struggling even before he got injured last week. Jono, Shorty, want Langers and I to ring in? No, I'll be okay, mate. I think it's a little bit tricky to navigate the live stream and the call, but I appreciate it, mate. I appreciate you jumping on board, and hopefully, if I have a little subscribers goal kicking contest, I bought the tripod today because I want to do a little bit of filming in that regard. Hopefully, you can get along. Max just clarifying on the Farah call. Nick, he's smashing it. Shorty, mate, it's your pet fish, Bruce. Good stuff, Nick. Good, beautiful. It did give me a laugh, I must admit. I was just looking through the comments like, what the hell is this? G Saucy, R2, Farah, or Dev Rob. What did he actually score the other day? Yeah, so he's actually been scoring pretty solid, hasn't he? 15, 16 touches, 60 odds, 70 odds. So, yeah. Having said that, it just comes down to the money you need. You know, look, from cheapest to most expensive, it's R2, Farah, Dev, Rob. From what I think will be the better scorers, Dev, Rob, Farah, R2. So it really just depends whether you need that extra bit of coin. And I know it's not too much, but sort of 50K. But I would probably pick Farah just because of that mature age element. I really do like that. But Dev Rob is the sort of guy that he really could bust out some regular 90s. He really could. So I would probably I'd probably lean towards Dev if it doesn't affect you in terms of the coin. But like, say for me, this week, I actually need that extra 40,000 to make it all the way to side bottom. So, yeah, that's where it can sort of matter. Jackson's just saying g'day to Jono. Hamish, thoughts on Archie Perkins? He's definitely playing pretty well. I'm not sure I know he didn't score too well a couple of weeks back, but he might have had a better Anzac day. Let's have a little look. 209K. Yeah, he's just busted out sort of 50s, hasn't he? I think he'll be a player. Definitely looks like he'll be a player, but probably not one we need to be rushing to bring in. And pet fish, he's doing well for a fish, just getting on the live stream, working the keyboard. Need content. Tizzy, you're a gloid. There you go, mate. Soundbite that up. Gee, must be a quiet day for you, mate, if you're running a little tribute account for my fish, but don't forget to feed him, mate. Jono, just having a little chat. Nick. Halen, get both R2 and Farah instead of getting one and Brayshaw and then money to easily get upgrades done. Yeah, probably just depends. Do you reckon Brayshaw's a buy? I think he could settle in nicely at an M8 position, and he's a great buy. He's about to most likely, he's got a pretty achievable and well achievable. He'll go through it, you would think, break even. But we do have two nice cash cows there that you have outlined, and there aren't too many on the horizon. But personally, I'd be more inclined to get a premium. I think whenever you can get a premium, I think it's good to do so, unless you have a crystal clear plan for next week of two premiums that you really think are even better than Brayshaw. So I'd just say if you do the maths, do the rough guide, if there's two primos you reckon you can get in next week that'll be in that price range and you need that sort of bank, then do that, because I think they both will be pretty solid. But generally speaking, I think it's always great to get premiums when you can. DeGoey's back. Hey, Shorty, Dev, Rob, and Bont, or McRae and Frederick from Port. I'll be going Dev, Rob, and the Bont there. I want to get another look at Frederick. And I think Bont and McRae, they're both having fantastic years, so I think you could mount the case for both of them. But I think if that's your toss-up, I think Dev Rob has the superior potential against Frederick there. Matthew, I've gone Dunkley and Goulden out for Bont and Brayshaw. Thoughts? Nothing wrong with that, mate. That's good. I think, there'll definitely be a lot of people that do similar, and that's, Goulden's done his job. He's done great. And, it was shattering to see Dunkley go down in that fashion, so frustrating. Just added to the frustration this season. But that's the cards we've been dealt. So, no, they're good trades, mate, and popular ones too. Nick just smashing the content. To Goey, instead of calling him Shorty, can you lift in Supercoach? Yeah. It took me a while to click there, but yeah. True, mate. I wonder if he'll be back. I saw him run a train and looks like he might be, so I might have to turf him. Jackson, Shorty, what do you think of Jono as a lad? No, he's a good fella. We met a couple of times back in the old Ballarat days. I think it was had a cricket once and maybe basketball or something, but he's a good man. Seb, hey, Shorty, big decisions this week. Obviously, Dunk's out and I'm moving on Goulden. Do I go Petrarca and a lower rookie-priced Ford, bank 200K for an upgrade next week, or go Walsh and Impey, no bank? Yeah, it's tough. No, I'd probably go the rookie and get the bank. I know Impey's going well. I don't know. Will he keep this up? It's such a shock. It's so unusual for a guy at his age to just explode in a position that he's played before and never shown signs of regular tons. Bizarre. Personally, I'd lock in Petrarca and get that rookie because I think we've got a couple of good ones, like I mentioned, Farah, Robbo, R2, either one, take your pick. I'd be doing that. Matthew has also decided to keep Cripps. Don't know why, but I've still got hope. Well, fair enough. I mean, look, beggars can't be choosers at the moment. We've got other levers to pull, don't we? But I think Cripps has been playing okay football, better football, but they're just not correlating to big scores. So, but at the moment, trading out guys who are out of form are almost the least of our concerns, aren't they? HWC, should I trade Luke Ryan? Who should I trade Luke Ryan to? Yeah, I did see that there was some doubt about him. What's going on there? Yeah, can't exactly find anything there, but look, I think Ryan, if it's not long term, I think you'd probably keep him. Like I said, feel free to let me know what's going on there, but we do have a lot going for us in the back line. You know, I'm sure you've got some coin in the bank because most of us will. You know, if we don't have money already, or Dunkley's going to free up a little bit of coin with the trade. So hopefully you can reach, you know, whether it's Mills, whether it's Lloyd. Do you think Caleb Daniel can bounce back? You know, these sort of questions. But I wouldn't exactly endorse Daniel, but yeah, there's definitely a few options down back. So, but look, if Ryan's only 1 week, I would hold. Tom Stewart is a really consistent performer. And my fish, he's going to get Heppel. Good as gold. Nicely done. Kale, thoughts on Atkins in the forward line? What did he score last week? He's been going all right. Yeah, I must admit, he surprised me in terms of how he has gone down back for the Cats. It was not some position change I thought would happen at all. So he's turned up every second week, 82, 107, 78, 102, 57, 103 for a pretty handy average of 88. So, yeah, he's definitely going well, but I think the ship has probably sailed. I think if you haven't been on board him yet, then I don't see any point in getting him now. You know, he's 400K. I don't see him as a keeper. So, no, I think that one's probably sailed, done well. But if you haven't got him, I wouldn't be bringing him in now. Shano, 2 rounds using season where we could use an extra trade would be great. Yeah. 2 rounds during. Yeah. Well, I know. I think so. Like, definitely would be nice to have a little bit more control and a little bit more flexibility around our trades rather than just being locked into 2 trades every single week, you know. Because let's face it, like sometimes we use none. So why can't we use 3 or 4 sometimes? It's just how it's been forever. I'd be open to a bit more flexibility as a coach. Because in essence, we're the coach sitting in the coach's box. I wish we could pull a few more levers, have a bit more control. Xavier, hey, Shorty, what do you reckon with these trades? Goulden and Campbell to Zorko and McRae, as in Finlay, giving me 116K to go Cozzy to May next week. I like that, mate. And then, yeah, Stephen May's probably, people were talking about defenders before, he's probably not a bad option. And let's keep an eye on how Lockie Whitfield returns too, because he'll be back soon. Something to think about. But, yeah, I think Zorko, a good option. McRae just hasn't been going that well. So the only thing I'd say is, you know, maybe could you go one of the guys who are going a bit better? You know, Farah, Dev Rob, can you expend that much extra coin? It's sort of 100K between the two. But McRae, I know he's a talent, but at the moment there's just a whiff of him being not the cash cow we were hoping for. All it takes is one game for him to turn it around, but just you'd hate to bring him in and he scores another 50, then he gets dropped. So it's just something to think about. Those other guys might have a bit more security. SuperCoach Pro, Zorko or Brayshaw for dunks, as I want to bank the coin to upgrade Goulden next week. I would probably go Zorko, but only just. I think you're probably winning on both fronts. To be honest, I'd prefer side bottom. I'm hearing Zorko get talked about a lot. I'd prefer side bottom of Zorko and him. I think Brayshaw, Zorko is going to be a top 6 forward. That seems pretty clear now. Where Brayshaw, you could mount the case where he's going to be top 10, but I'm pretty confident he could just sit in your 8th position in the midfield and he can do a good job. So I might slightly favour Zorko there, but I recommended Brayshaw as well. Corey, just saying, hold on to Ryan. He might not even be out. Yeah, that's a good point. If someone wants to enlighten me exactly what's going on with Ryan, thanks to everybody who's tuning in. We're pumping out some good numbers here. So yeah, I think these live sessions have been a big tick. I wasn't too sure how they go, but some pretty regular contributors. So that's good stuff. We'll probably go through to about 10 o'clock tonight, I reckon. And fingers crossed for no carnage this week, eh? Oztix, thoughts on Farah as a downgrade option or swap for Dow? Yeah, big fan, and I've sort of mentioned him a few times. And had a nice 80 in the first week. He seems to be playing a pretty good role for scoring, lots of marks and that type of thing. And, being mature age, it just gives you that little bit extra confidence that he can play week in, week out, hold his spot on the side. Sort of got more hardened, seasoned body. So, and from what I can tell, not a bad position for SuperCoach. Lyons, he's back. What's going on, mate? Thoughts on keeping the likes of Cripps, Josh Kelly, even Caleb Daniel at this point? Upgrade around them to get a full team and hope they come good. And then if you have trades, go from there. Yeah, spot on. I agree. I think let's deal with what we know 100%. You look at those guys and they're frustrating. There's probably always more of a inkling to go, oh, Jesus, this premium I paid good money for, he's pissing me off. I want to get rid of him. The old rage quit. But the fact is they might bounce back, and we do see it. You think a guy's hopelessly out of form and you go, oh, he's cooked. And then in 2-3 weeks' time you go, he turned it around. Okay. At this stage I would be, I'd be just not so much keeping the faith, but dealing with things that we know. Goulden's not going to be a premium. There's other guys out there that we know are just cash cows and we know are going to be guys that we offload. I think deal with those. In the meantime, you just hope that these fellas can find their best form. And then if we don't, like you said, mate, we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it in a few weeks. Unless you look at it and you go, wow, that's a full new position. He's not going to come good. But I know Josh Kelly's position has changed a little bit. But just at the moment, I've had no time to even think about what to do with out of form guys because there's just been out of the team guys. Blokes get knocked out, getting their shoulders knocked out of their sockets, all sorts of stuff. But Xavier, McRae, only coverage for Dusty too. Yeah, fair. I think, gosh, our forward line's in strife this week. Last week it was back line, could still be. Forward line this week. We're getting smashed here. HWC feels like Ryan could be out for 4 weeks. Well, if that's the case, let's get a bit of clarification on that in the next sort of 24 hours. And if it's 4 weeks, he's got to go. Nicky, yeah, good call. What do we reckon? Can Highmore finally get a game? Surely. I know Lang has mentioned that McKenzie, I think, was suspended. Surely the Saints are struggling. Let's give some guys some opportunity. I'm almost hoping Carlisle could get dropped too because he had a stinker. Ended up moving him forward. Yeah, and Carlisle has been dropped before. So I just wonder. I hope for Tommy Highmore's sake that he can get a gig, and for our SuperCoach's sake. Colby, what about Martin? Well, Dusty, let's just hold on to him because 1 week, he's just going over to New Zealand to see his old man. Just kick back, Dusty. Let him just chill on your bench, and he'll be back soon. SuperCoach Pro, Benny Brown could be straight rookie swap for Rowe in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, true. What was Brown? Was he like early 200s or something? I can't even remember. Wouldn't get super excited about him. I mean, he might kick a couple of snags. You never know. 260. Yeah. I dare say I'd be shocked if Brown entered our sides, but you just never know how he can go. The D's are certainly making their forwards look pretty damn good at the minute. Some good ball use going on. Shorty's pet fish, Bruce. By the way, slip me your address. I'm going to buy you a fish called Bruce. Probably going to, as much as I appreciate the fish offer, I'm probably going to avoid handing out my address on a live feed. But you're a funny man, mate. You're a funny man. SuperCoach Orba. Hey, Shorty. You're doing well. Thank you, mate. Just wanted to ask you a question. Bont and bank 200K or Brayshaw and bank 350K? Thanks for the support, mate. I've seen your name pop up quite a few times. So, yeah, appreciate you jumping on board regularly. There's quite a few regulars too. So, thanks to all of those. I'd almost be inclined to go Brayshaw. I know Bont's going amazing, but, gosh, I don't know. Something just says Brayshaw, big lot of coin, really get to work next week. I think he can keep both of them for the rest of the season, whichever way you go with it. Yeah, again, these sort of questions, it's not so much about what to do this week, but what can you do next week? You know, I think, and that 350K, like that could be, you could be bringing in Marshall, or, you know, that could be Jack Steele, could be Callum Mills, could be any, you know, 2 premiums. You might be able to snaffle, depending on what you can do, but Dane, how are you, mate? G'day, Shorty. Thoughts on Jack Lukosius as a dark horse, lovely user, or someone like a Scrimshaw? Not sure if Lukosius has quite lit it up regularly. I feel like he's had a couple of down weeks. Jack Bowes is also one that he's kind of had a couple of quieter weeks, but still been okay. Not Lukosius for me. Turned up for the first 2 weeks and just hasn't hit the heights. And I wouldn't think Scrimshaw would be a guy for us either. There's quite a lot of points going around out at the back line for the Hawks. You got Impey, you got CJ, and even Blake Hardwick's taking a lot of kick-ins and stuff. But thanks for the question, Dane. Definitely not Scrimshaw, but Lukosius probably just, I reckon there'll be a time where we do say, gee, this bloke is a premium defender, but it's just not quite yet. I know I haven't watched him enough this year to know what needs to be done, but just not quite yet. Tyler, what do you think of Toby Green? Well, as a SuperCoach player, I think he's going all right. Probably not one I would jump at. Just he's a forward that's in great form, but history shows that he can be quite inconsistent. Super player, like just player that you'd love in your side, so dynamic, and it's a tough role to play. And at the moment, he's sort of playing a small man as a tall man, but he's doing it really well. So he's running hot. Probably not one that I'd rush at because we've got better options like Zorko, side bottom, Marshall pretty soon, but he's going all right. And Corey's just not happy with the Ryan news. SuperCoach Pro, Heaney and May could be under 400K next week. Yeah, good point. I didn't realise the May one, but I definitely was checking out Heaney. I mentioned him a couple of weeks ago just to keep. And we might have to snap guys like that up because at the moment, gee, we're just struggling. Like we are struggling for reliability in almost every section, you know, and I think Stephen May of the two you mentioned is probably a better call. I mean, Heaney turned up the first 2 weeks and has tapered off big time and had a really tough week last week. And this, you know, I think like the role he plays, if the Swans have a tough day, he's going to have a slightly tougher day. If they're rolling on all cylinders like they were early in the year, it's just the nature of being a forward. He's going to probably have a better time of it. But Zach Butters as well, he's definitely one to keep an eye on when he returns also. Yanko traded Neil and Dunks for Bolton and Brayshaw. Yeah, fair call, mate. One thing I would say with Bolton, there was a good article on the SuperCoach 360 site, I think by Jared. Just the difference that Prestia's presence and, of course, Martin's presence makes to Bolton when they're in and out of the side. So if you haven't checked out that, or if you're not involved in the Facebook page, AFL, I think it's AFL SuperCoach 360, feel free to check them out. But I wouldn't necessarily rush at Bolton, but I think there's some better options around. But having said that, he had that one stinker where he scored like 28. The rest of his scores been fine. So he's quite an interesting player. Kieran, SuperCoach Uber, go for Bont. Yanko, for round 8, looking at 17 primos. Gee whiz, he's flying. Nicely done. Nicky, also same with Thilthorpe. Should we wait another week like Fredericks? Yes, we definitely should, particularly for a key forward. He's going to have ups and downs. 5 goals on debut is not too bad, but he's going to have his days where he struggles a little bit more. Matt, why do you care? That's part of his name, not his question. But Shorty, do you reckon Dunkley to a mid-primo or a forward like Zorko or Steele Sidebottom? Assume you already have a primo mids and Tex Impey Zeeble up forward. Yeah, it's really a horses for courses because, like you sort of outlined, just have a bit of a suss of how your team looks. For me personally, I think it's always good to preference a midfielder because generally they score better. The top scorers are basically often mids and lately been rucks. But I think if you can get a McRae, get a Steele, get the Rolls Royce in the midfield because he's that well priced. It was nice to finally get an injury at the end of the game. I mean, if we're going to celebrate anything, how many times have we seen, not just this year, but previous years, where a guy gets injured and he's on 6 points or 14 points? You're like, God, couldn't he have done that late? So at least if we're going to take any ounce of positivity, it was that Dunkley actually didn't lose out in his price. So still hurts, but God, we got to scrap for positives, don't we? So probably preference the midfield, but Shorty's pet fish, talking about Nicky Hind. My pet fish he's getting active tonight. To Goey. Nicky's more focused on the ladies. To Goey, just cutting through them. Cody, hey Shorty, Jared Lyons or Sam Walsh for Dunkley? Definitely Walsh for mine. I know Lyons just seems to find a way to do it year in, year out, and there's more opportunity with the midfield at the Lions, but I'd probably prefer Walsh at the minute. Oh, we've jumped up over 70. Good stuff. Thanks to everyone who's jumped on board. Hopefully you've been on for most of the 45 minutes, but feel free to float in, float out, ask a question, watch it tomorrow, do whatever you like. But no, I appreciate you guys jumping on board. If you want to give it a thumbs up, would love it. Would love to subscribe even more, but hoping to get to the 3,000 mark. That's Shorty's goal by the end of the year. So I do appreciate, every time I upload a video, I give a little bit of a look to the subs, and it's always nice when there's a couple of extras on board. So thanks to everyone who's getting involved and asking a question or just listening along as well. John also asking about Jared Lyons. I don't know. There's nothing sexy about Jared Lyons, is there? But he's just as reliable as the day is long and just does his thing in there. So he's probably a safe, reliable pick, but I probably prefer some others. Corey, do we trade Luke Ryan? Well, if the word is true that it's 4 weeks, yes, we do. But Tommy Stewart could be an option. I'm sure most of us have lead. Can we reach Mills? There's a few names. Maybe you got more pressing issues. Maybe you want to wait for Jake Lloyd to probably drop another little bit. He's been going good, but not great. We'll get another price drop. T.S. Trobe, Shorty, thoughts on... don't know what that is, and I get nervous. Shorty gets nervous when he doesn't recognise a name and could be getting the old internet stitch up. So if I've misinterpreted, feel free to shoot another question, but Shorty doesn't want to get cancelled. Nicky and Degawi just going toe to toe. Have a look at the lads. And we'll look out. What do we got here? This could be interesting. Right over we go. Lol. That's interesting. SDS, he's often on here. Good stuff, mate. G'day, Shorty. Hope Lyons was elite yesterday. It was, mate. I just rolled on, had a little kick at the footy, slotted some snags. Then I was going to get a milkshake. I thought this would be beautiful. Just get a milkshake, drive home, listen to some tunes, and they were closed. So, yeah, you get that through winter. Oh, it's not winter, is it? I don't even know. But you get that in your off-peak coastal towns. Got 700K in the bank, trading Dunkley for McRae and tossing up between trading Clark for Stewart or Bowes. Well, you're cashed up, mate, and you're spending it nicely. I'd be going Stewart. He's done it a lot longer than Bowes has. Both good selections, but I think Stewart is just so damn consistent and he's a bit more reliable, I think. You know, having done it before gives us a little bit of extra confidence. Frag, thanks for the advice, Shorty. I'll make sure to do the exact opposite. Yeah, good, mate. I like that. Yeah, I know. I've been getting a bit of that feedback. People ask me a question, cool. I'll do the opposite. Nah, it's I like that. I'm all for a bit of trash talk on the old live stream. My fish loves it. Thought my fish would have stuck up for me. That's all right. SuperCoach Orba. Just having a little chat to Kieran. SDS Clark is in Jordan Clark, not Hunter Clark. Oh, good, because I did interpret it as Jordan, so that's good. My fish is back. New upload. Oh, gosh. Gee, you don't muck around on the upload, do you? Phil, you go out and check me Pet Fish's video. Give it a like and subscribe. Jono, check Messenger, please, mate. What do you got for me, brother? Yeah, true. Where is the goal kicking going to be? Yeah, I would be pretty keen to do a little subs goal kicking comp, and I reckon we could get a handful of people down there. I reckon. Like, I think I'll just have a few of my mates and get the camera set up, and you can come along and get involved in one of Shorty's vids. But I don't know where it's going to be, mate. It's I'm going to wait for my tripod to be delivered. Should be next Thursday, and then we might look to do it in a week or so. I think it'll be on a Sunday. I'm doing every second weekend, so it'll be on a weekend that I have off and that I don't have a disgraceful hangover. And yeah, I'll certainly let you know, mate. When I have a little bit of an idea of it, I'll put a video out there and give it some airtime for sure. Thanks, mate. I'm a fish, and Tizza is my bitch. Gee whiz. Whatever you're on, mate, I think I need some of it because this fish is whack. He's off the grid. Dane, thoughts on starting Kaczynski? Well, I mean, don't expect 100 again, but he's going all right, isn't he? You know, I think that was just what we needed because for those that did keep him, it's nice to get a score you don't expect. I feel like so often we're like with rookies, yeah, he can score 80. 54, you know? It was nice to get one where you go, geez, I never would have thought my wildest dreams that he'd kick 5 and ton up. So that was nice. But, yeah, in terms of starting him, I mean, God, I don't know about you. I don't really have a choice. But, yeah, you might be able an emergency loophole, give that a little whirl if the stars align in the fixture. But, yeah, he's just as likely to score 40 this week, mate. That's the thing. So just weigh it up with who else you've got in there. Daniel McMurray, what's happening, mate? What, in your opinion, is par primos trades left at this point of a chaotic season, sitting at 16 primos, 19 trades? Yeah, it's so individual, isn't it? I mean, generally speaking, and this one's been an absolute shocker, but I always sort of look at it as still getting a team full of premiums. So, you know, whatever it is, you've got 16 primos. You probably need another 6 to top up your side. You probably need another 12, 13 trades to do it. That'll leave you with 6 or so, and hopefully full of premiums. So that's a tick. You might have 14 premiums right now. If that's the case, you probably want at least 20 trades. So it just depends. I normally 1 premium equals 2 trades generally. And there's often, an extra trade or 2 because I'm sure we'll cover a few more injuries. I'm sure it's going to happen. So we don't want to be cutting it too fine. But you're in a good position there, mate. Nicky, also thoughts on Tick Miller looking the goods, could be a pod option. Yeah, he's probably just a guy having a bit of a hot streak, I think. I personally wouldn't. I mean, he would be a point of difference, but he's been around for a while, never sort of shown an ability to consistently do this. So he's probably running hot, but probably not one for us to get, I don't think. Jackson, Rowan Marshall, or Sidebottom. I'd be getting Sidebottom this week and finding a way to get Marshall in the next couple. I reckon they're both guys you need in your side. Marshall's got a break even at like 150. Sidebottom's about 78. So I think we'll get them both, but you'll get Sidebottom at his best price probably, and we'll get Marshall at a better price soon. Yeah, Shorty. What's going on, mate? How are you? Not really SuperCoach. But how much are the Dockers going to win by in the Derby? Flag Mantle 2021. No, I'm all about talking general footy. It doesn't always have to be SuperCoach. So I have tipped the Eagles, so mate. I'm sorry, but I'm very interested to see this game because the Dockers could definitely have a big, not have a big win. It would be a big win, but not in terms of the margin. You've sort of got the Eagles who are dropping off a bit older, and you've got the young and exciting Dockers. So I just wonder how it'll pan out. I'll definitely be tuning in, but the Eagles were poor last week, but they are good at home. I mean, that's a fact. It always has been. But, they are trash on the road at the moment. Caleb, Boke down with a quad injury. Yeah, I did see that. From what I've heard, it's just minor. So we should be able to hold, but we can't catch a break, can we, at the minute? Michaela, g'day, Shorty. Are you tipping Carlton or Essendon? How you going? I'm going to go with the Bombers, but that is a tough one. I probably would have thought if I was glancing at this game at the start of the year, sort of on perception and what I thought would happen, I probably would have thought I'd be tipping the Blues. But at the minute, the Bombers actually, I know the Pies aren't exactly on fire, but the Bombers looked all right. But I will be probably checking the teams. But at the minute, I have tipped the Bombers. Matthew, who would you field out of James Jordan or Tom Powell? Who have they got? I can't think. On top of my head, I'd sort of say Powell. But sometimes with rookies, it's sort of nice to look at the fixture. Oh, they're playing each other. I would go Powell. I think probably he's a better chance to go a bit higher and probably has a little bit more consistency about him. I know Jordan did have that really poor couple of weeks, but yeah, I'd probably go Powell on that occasion. Fenny, hey Shorty, who do you have winning the flag this season? Well, at the moment, I mean, it's always tough to write off the Tigers, isn't it? Once the whips are cracking in September at the MCG, I still think they deserve to be highly rated. But right here, right now, if I had to put my money on someone, it probably would be the Dogs. They're just playing beautiful football. They've just got that vibe about the Hawks way back where they won a flag before their time, and then dropped off a touch. Hawks did it in 08, and then the Hawks responded. Dogs, won it in 16 or whatever it was, just dropped off a touch. I feel like they're just primed, and they've finally sorted out some of their tall timber. They've found a few answers to that. So, but it's exciting. You got Port, you got Melbourne, you still got the Cats are floating around. Brisbane, be looking to be in that conversation over the next couple of months. So, be very interesting to see. My pet fish, thoughts on Dunkley and Martin for Heppel and the big bad Bond. And next week after Heppel gains 30K, trade him out and put Sharp on mid-bench for Ridley. Yeah, I definitely like the move of Heppel, and you don't necessarily have to. I mean, I wouldn't be trading in Heppel just to get 30K. I'd be probably holding on to him for a little bit longer than that. But the thought behind getting Heppel's reasonable, although he's probably not exactly cheap as chips anymore now, is he? So the ship may have sailed, but definitely get him Bond. I wouldn't do a trade just to get. Don't trade Heppel in this week just to get 30K and then trade him out, because the trades are worth a lot more than 30K. But definitely gear your team up to get Ridley in once he starts to drop. Ross, apologies to Lyons and Zorko. With my injury curse, they are sure to go down as I'm picking them to replace Neil and Martin, Dunkley, etc. Tough year, yeah. Gosh, we all feel a little bit cursed from time to time, don't we? I'd be keeping Dusty Martin, mate. Definitely get rid of Neil and Dunkley, but Martin shouldn't be out for too long. So, but yeah, I'll tell you what, if one more SuperCoach relevant guy goes down where we all bring him in and they go down again, golly, we'll have us tearing our hair out. Hopefully I've gotten to most of your questions, guys. We've been smashing it out. I'm probably going to go for another 10 minutes, I reckon. So, we've got some real good viewership up, which has been awesome. So I appreciate that. And yeah, hopefully we can keep chatting for another 10 minutes and get to a few more questions. But probably if you post one now, I might struggle to get to it. But thanks for joining in nonetheless. Nick, how long should we wait to get Farah in? Well, I think as a general rule, you always try and get him on the bubble. So I'll be trying to get him in now. He's already 180 odd, so he's not exactly basement. I'll be trying to get him in now. AFL Amusement. Daniel, Bont or Lyons? There you go, mate. Thanks for jumping on board. I'll go with whatever you don't say. Well, I would be going Bontempelli. So go ahead and get Lyons. They're both going to be pretty good for you, though, mate. I just think Bond's probably got a bit more of an upside. Jamie, in for Dunks and Neil, Clary and Zorko. Clary and Walsh. Oh, he's got options. Clary and Zorko, Clary and Walsh, or Clary and Brayshaw. I like Oliver, and so do you, mate. That's good to see. So basically it's Zorko versus Walsh versus Brayshaw. I would probably I'd probably rule out Brayshaw because Zorko could be a keeper in the forward line. Walsh is a better keeper than Brayshaw in the mid, so let's cancel Brayshaw out. And then it just depends on his structure. Do you need a forward? Do you need a mid? Because I think you can keep both of them all year. So they're both keepers. They'll both do you well. BHB, any forward rookies for 174K I could pick up. Getting in Jackson McRae, and that's all I have left. Whew. Oh, yeah, you might be just missing it. That too is 175, so you're about $1,000 off. If I were you, I would not get McRae this week, and I'd maybe go for a Jack Steele or some other superstar and get him Farah. Unless you don't need a rookie, but it sounds like you do want a rookie, and it's always good to grab them when they're there because McRae's probably your other option, a bit cheaper than that, but he's just not really going that great. So if I were you, we'll get McRae another time, but just try and get maybe somebody else that's still going to produce ripper numbers, but then you can sneak in, Dev Robinson or Jai Farah. Andrew, any holes in Bont's game? Oh, probably the main one is that he can get tagged. He is taggable. I know he has the ability to go forward, but it's interesting how some players cop a tag and don't always handle it as well. I think he's getting better with it, but history does suggest that if he does get a bit of attention, he can have a tough day. But there's not many holes. He's as damaging as he seems to be adding a bit more goal kicking to his game. And the way the Dogs play, if you watch them play, there's so many stoppages where they win the clearance and it's Libba off to McRae, off to Bont, gone. Or Bailey Smith off to McRae, off to Bont, out. And Dunkley's in that conversation when he's playing it. They just flick it around. Oh, it's a dream if you've got a few doggies. Trelaw gets involved. So, yeah. Tynan, thoughts on Lin Jong? Could be a solid upgrade target. Yes, he's unlucky, isn't he? He's struggling. Just can't get a fair crack at it, can he? It's tough. He's one of these guys that works so hard and then just cops these unlucky injuries. So it's disappointing. But Craig, is Brayshaw worth getting by upgrading Goulden? Absolutely. Brayshaw, has copped some attention and had some lower scores. But other than that, when he's been left to his own devices, he's been 110 plus all the time. So I think he's a good option. He will still have some days where he is a bit, he's not a seasoned premium, but I think he's on the way. So I think he can. I've said it before. I think you'd be happy if by the end of the year Brayshaw was your M7 or your M8. I think it'd be okay. Josh, thoughts on trading in Brayshaw for Dunkley, then either trade in Zorko or Farah? If I go Farah, I'll have 400k in the bank and go Rowe to Bont or Lyons next week. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Like I just touched on Brayshaw and take your pick. I mean, Zorko, I always preference getting in a premium, boost up your side. But having said that, there are premiums on offer this week, next week, where Farah could, his ship might sail. He's on the bubble. So if I were you, I'd probably pocket the coin. Get in a rookie while they're there. Let's face it, Zorko's still going to be around the mark, and Marshall will drop a bit. So there'll be options where our rookies could be a little scarce. My fish just having a bit of fun there. Raw Toasty. I'm the coach. I want to play more defenders. And then he's just giving a bit of a love heart to old Shorty. Thanks, Toasty. Good man getting involved. Haven't the defenders been nice for us? There's no better role for a SuperCoach at the moment than just cruising around on that half-back line, is there? Nick, any Collingwood rookie at the moment is looking terrible. Yeah, you're right. They're really struggling. I mean, it's good job security because the Pies are kind of going down that line of thinking, but they got to score for us. They're not doing it. Craig, what do you think of Clark to Robertson? Yes, I like that, mate. I think Robbo really has some – he'll pump out some 90s. He's an inside tough guy and he's going to get some opportunities. So if I could, I can't really afford to do it. I sort of got to go Farah, but I might assess it with what I do with Dunkley. I'll just see. But I think Dev Rob could be a nice little option. Xavier, I have Boak alarm bells. What should I do and how long is he out for? I'm still waiting to hear exactly. All I've heard is it's minor. So I guess when they say normally a quad's at least like not normally a 1 weeker, but when they say minor, so let's get on the old Google, give it 24 hours. I'm sure we'll learn a little bit more about it. My initial inkling is to keep him because it doesn't sound too long-term, but let's hope we don't get any bad news about that soon. Craig Robinson instead of McRae for a bit more. Yeah. I mean, you'd hate to save 100k today and then see Dev dominating, scoring 85, 96, which he could do given the opportunity. And McRae scores 47 and he's out of the team. So, yeah, it's I would be paying the extra bucks. Andrew, watching from New Jersey in USA. Well, g'day, mate. Hope you're going well. So we've had a couple of people, actually, from overseas. So thanks for jumping on board. Got no idea what time it is over there, but good to have you on. G. Saucy, field 2 of these 2. Oh, of these 3 even. Rowe, Bergman, and Scott. Definitely Bergman. And we had the Scott versus Rowe decision before, and I said Rowe, but gosh, not a great deal of confidence in it. But I would go Rowe and Bergman. It's a tough one. It's real tough. Lethal, hold Goulden and Dusty this week. Thoughts? Definitely hold Dusty. Goulden, not so much. I think he's done his job. He could get rested. You never know. But, his time is done. You can definitely move on him. Jake, hey, mate. Thoughts on Dunks to Zorko and Goulden down to Robbo from Brisbane? I like that. I like that a lot. A lot of love coming for Dev Robinson. Don't want to DPP Dunkley for a primo mid as I want to avoid a 0 on the field. Leaves me enough money to get Ridley next week. Nice, mate. Nice. Yeah, good. I think they're good moves, and definitely, yeah, we should all be making room and a bit of a plan to get Ridley once he drops a couple of times off the back of that low score, and Robbo, a couple of Lyons, Zorko and Robbo are going to get some midfield time with Neil being out, so, or extra midfield time, I should say. Lethal, sorry, mate. One more, Oliver or Bond. No need to be sorry, mate. I welcome the questions. It's good to have you on board. You guys are what makes this live feed. If you weren't asking me questions, I'd just be a bloke sitting here doing nothing. So I appreciate them. I'd be going Oliver. I think he's they're both flying. They both have great numbers, but I just think Oliver is just ever so slightly a better primo option. Jono, ring the Saints supporter, aka myself, and I can give you some insight. I'm sure we'll talk throughout the week, Jono, but I won't be on for too much longer. But I hope your Saints can turn it around, mate. Aaron, hey, Shorty, thoughts on trading Dusty considering his ankle injury and him doing interstate, which means he could miss more than a week? Oh, going interstate, yeah. All these, you just never know with COVID and whatnot. But no, I mean, I'll be in the camp of keeping Dusty. From what I've heard, it's nothing too serious. Yeah, but you might have a different read on it. Me personally, I've got a few things to fix up before I fix Dusty, but I'd be more inclined to keep him. We'll just get through a couple more. Apologies, there's going to be a few that I don't get to, but yeah, that's just, it's tough to get to them all, but I do appreciate all your questions, and hopefully if I haven't got to you today, hopefully there'll be another day where I get to yours. But Josh, who's got to go more out of Warner and Cripps? Probably Warner. A bit like I was talking earlier. I know Cripps isn't doing great, and there's always that itch for us to get rid of these primos that have done us wrong, but he could come good. He could improve, where Warner could get rested, could have a poor one being a youngster. And he's done his job. Cripps hasn't done his job, but there's always a chance that he comes good or has a good day. So I would be more inclined to get rid of Warner, hope Cripper goes better. If he doesn't, we'll deal with Cripps soon enough. But gee, Saucy, how much do you reckon Brayshaw will go up in price next week? Well, from memory, his break even was like 70 odd, something like that. He's 470. 53. Jeepers. Yeah, he is a good buy at that range, isn't he? Oh, look, he'll be over 500, I dare say. 505, 512 sort of range, just guessing. But SuperCoach Pro to go, he could be sub 300K. Could be a bargain if Bucks puts him in the middle like he was against West Coast before he got subbed out. Could be used as F6, F7. Yeah, I mean, that's about as optimistic as anyone's been on Degoe for a while. You're right. It was double salt in the wounds when he went down, because he'd been playing forward, scoring shit, finally moved in the midfield because Adams was out, gets his nose crushed into his face. So it was a debacle. But you are right. If he does play midfield, he could be a bit better for it. But we're just going to have to wait and see what Buckley does with him, eh? Twins highlights. Mansell won't last when Voston comes in. No, you've got the question mark behind it, but I think you're on the money there. I think you're right, which was always a potential issue with those young Richmond rookies. Such a strong team, the Tigers. Always hard to keep your spot as a youngster. Nicky, Shorty, any good tips for the weekend? Suns over the Pies or Hawks over Saints? I reckon I've tipped the Tigers tomorrow, which, at least on what the percentages said, was a bit of an upset. Otherwise, I think I've gone pretty vanilla, I think. Yeah, I tip the Tigs. I never tip against the Cats at Geelong, and I don't really ever tip against the Tigers at the G. But otherwise, I think, yeah, everyone will tip the Crows, but the Giants could take it up to the Crows. Otherwise, it was all pretty tough. Brisbane and Port's a really tough game. I'm still sort of thinking on that one. Where are we? Josh, who's got to go, Warner or Cripps? I think I answered that one before. Adam, thoughts on Cam Guthrie, Shorty? What do you see him averaging this year? Is he the real deal? He's really stepped up in the absence of Dangerfield. He really has. So I think while Danger's out, he's going to produce these sort of numbers because he's just that main inside guy alongside Joel Selwood. He's not exactly someone I'd call a SuperCoach premium. Like, I don't think we'll consider him next year or anything like that. So I wouldn't really go after him. I think there's some better options. But if you bring him in, he's not going to let you down. He's really consistent. He's turned into a really good player, so which is great, but not one we should necessarily chase. My fish just did a montage of your highlights. Check it out. It goes for 6 seconds. Well, that sums up my football career, actually. 6 seconds of highlights. All right, we'll touch on Daniel and Aaron, and then we might wind it up. Daniel says Riley Collie Dawkins finally going to debut. Yes, we like that. There's a big hype about him. I reckon he might be a chance to be a downgrade soon. Aaron, Shorty, do you personally think is wrong with the Saints this season? I think the Saints, they must have, even if it was subconsciously, they must have got a little bit ahead of themselves. They must have thought that it was maybe just going to happen a little easier than it has. I think Marshall and Ryder have been massive absences. They'll be much the better for them in the side pretty much from now on. And there's just quite a few guys that we thought were going to either hold their form or go to next levels, and they just haven't. Crouch hasn't been what we had thought. And there's just a few guys that, I feel like forward of the ball, Butler just hasn't quite been the same. Loney just doesn't seem to be that player that they had thought. And even losing Gresham, I know the Saints have some good mids, but their midfield can sometimes be a bit one-paced. Gresham gives them that explosive, dynamic movement around the ball. So there's been some crucial outs. They can bounce back, but it's been a horror start for the Saints, but that'd be my opinion. So, look, I think oh, gosh, there's some crazy comments there. Look, I'm going to have to wind it up, guys. Might touch on the prison bars debacle from SDS there because that is a bit interesting. It's something a little bit new, but I just let them wear it, for God's sake. Is it that crazy? Just let them wear the jumper. They're not asking to wear it every bloody week. If they want to wear it every week, okay, we've got a bit of an issue, but they just want to wear it on certain games. It's ingrained in their history, their Sandford club. I just think we see so many different colours thrown around and designs. Why do Collingwood kick up such a fuss? Anyway, I'd be happy if they just wore it 2-3 times a year. But anyway, I think I might wrap it up there. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in. Gonna watch a bit of a Marvel movie now, I think, if Watson's still up for it. So it should be a bit of fun. And back into working over the weekend. So not too many beers for Shorty this weekend. That's a pity. But thanks again for everyone who's joined in. We've got heaps of thumbs up. Hopefully a few of you have jumped on board and a bit of subscribe. I had my preview video up a little earlier than it is normally, so most of it I've touched on tonight, but discuss a few trade options, upgrade targets in my video I posted a couple of days ago. So if you want a little condensed version, feel free to check that out. But as I said, I'll be back pretty soon. We'll have my press conference, and I hope you have a good week, not just in SuperCoach, but obviously life in general, and hopefully your footy team gets up. But it's been another successful little live session. I feel like the sweet spot could be around 9 o'clock on your Wednesday or Thursday. So I think we might be honing into a bit of a regular position there. But I'll be sure to chat to you guys pretty soon. Have a good one, and thanks again. Cheers.